Forced internships in electronic companies are also highly common in China. Many students in vocational schools are exploited by electronic companies in order for them to have a cheap and flexible workforce. Since company-based education is a crucial part of receiving a vocational education, students are forced to work in manufacturing industries that may not even be relevant to their education under the threat of not being able to graduate. International attention on this issue was only raised in 2012 after forced internships were linked to global electronic supply chains, despite company and school partnerships being around for several years before that. New cases of forced internships at manufacturing companies supplying brands such as Apple and Sony continue to be documented. Another form of slavery taking place in China is through withheld wages in construction work. Annual wage area protests have heightened because of withheld payments in construction work. The lack of employment contracts in China, excessive and illegal overtime, and the dependency that unpaid workers have on their employers for housing and food pressures workers into forced labor. Many of the construction workers who are victim of this are rural migrants who are systematically discriminated against due to China's household registration system. A former United Nations regional manager stated that withholding wages contains a significant coercive element and is seen as forced labor or slavery. Construction workers say that they cannot protest while a construction project is taking place due to the fear of getting fired and never receiving the payment, so they stick to the promise made by their employer of getting paid in the new year or after construction. In 2017, the Ministry of Human Resources announced that wage areas should be eradicated in 2020. However, there is still a lot of enforcement lacking. The U.S. Commonwealth and the Northern Mariana Islands and 4 China-based construction firms recently reached a settlement for the construction firms to pay back almost $14 million worth of wages and damages to over 2,400 workers in China. Section 244 of China's Criminal Code establishes forced labor as a criminal offense by stating that whoever forces any person to work by violence, threat, or restriction of personal freedom will be criminally liable. This includes not only employers but recruiters, transporters, and other people playing any role in forcing someone into labor. Article 96 of the Chinese labor law prohibits forced labor. Under Article 240, human trafficking of women and children up to the age of 14 is currently illegal. However, it does not include males and boys over the age of 14. Until 2015, the buyer of a human trafficking victim would be immune from prosecution if it did not hinder the victim's rescue. However, this was changed so that the buyer would be subject to criminal liability. In 2008, a labor contract law was enacted in an attempt to formalize all employment relations through contracts and giving workers higher service pay.